Evening, everyone. Hope you're doing great. I hope you had a good Christmas. I'm back with my, interestingly, the same green sweater I wore before. If you don't know me, my name is N for Recaps. Please continue to like, subscribe, and share. If you enjoy my content, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, this is the channel where we take complexity and we make it simple. I am a tech data engineer and I do a lot of work with AI, and I'm here to break that down for you in the simplest terms, in the ways that make sense, and in the ways that hopefully can inspire you to get involved with AI itself. And on the other side, not just focusing on tech topics, I'm also going to be talking about some of the more larger issues around pop culture, and not in the same way of just gossiping about people. We're going to be looking at the cases or the topics that could have an impact on us as social media. Ooh, I had to adjust the camera. Social media commentators, bloggers, or wherever you wish to take your own social media career. So, thanks for joining me. So, if you've been following me on my previous channel, the one topic that has always been interesting to me, and I am so glad, unfortunately, we have some real life cases where this question is raised not just online but in an actual law court. Where does an online commentator cross the line from being a commentator to an actual media defendant? And why is this important? Now, I'm not going to answer that question in one video. I'm going to incrementally build up to it. And I think in this, from 2024 to 2025, we've had two major cases that actually address this. Shout out to Megan Thee Stallion. I'm a big fan. So I'm doing that. I'm letting you know so that you can know my bias right off the beginning. Because like I said, on this channel, we're doing things a bit differently. I am not here to speculate. I am not here to rage bait, because I think we need to remember deep down inside, these are human beings you are talking about. They are not objects. And I think one of the things we're also going to address later on in this playlist is how we cross the line from humanizing people to dehumanizing them and treating them as SEO, and how unethical and dangerous that is. So if you're interested in having those deeper conversations, please stay with me on this particular playlist. This playlist is going to be focused on Megan Thee Stallion versus Milagro. Now, don't worry, I am in this particular update, I am not here to recap the findings of the jury, although I will, because I think it's good context to as we arrive on the final question. When does online commentating cross the line from just providing opinions or even alleged thoughts to defamation, bullying, harassment, and why the wider question of I am a journalist is not going to protect you? It just isn't. So, yes, today we have a latest filing that has come through in the post trial motion, since the verdict was provided, I think about 2, 3 weeks ago. I think it was was it the week before Thanksgiving? Yeah, or the week after Thanksgiving, actually. Now, for those of you who may have missed it, I'll quickly recap it for you. Megan, the plaintiff, raised a case against Milagro, the defendant, and she was arguing, and she alleged 3 points: defamation, two, the intentional infliction of emotional distress, and three, the intentional spreading of deep fake porn videos of Megan Thee Stallion. Now, if you listen to all three, just by those filings, I'm sure many of you are like, "What the hell?" Yeah, that was a really brutal case, and I have the deepest empathy for Megan Thee Stallion and everybody else who has had to go through something like that, because that was really unfair. So in this video, what I am going to do is, for those of you that are new to it, I'm going to give you a very simple summary of the pre-trial motions. We're going to quickly cover the latest post-trial filing, which I'm very interested, I'm very fascinated by, because I think this is the real legal question. And I'm going to do it in the simplest English. Don't worry, you don't have to be a lawyer to understand me. And I appreciate that this video is not cutting. I know a lot of people's attention spans are not great, but we're going to figure it out. And I want to also make it clear that if you enjoy my content, please stay with the playlist, and I will be filing 2 videos about this. This is the first one. Second video will follow shortly. So yeah, let's get to it. The pre-trial ruling. Like I said, in the simplest terms, guys, you will see me looking down. I don't have my setup yet, so all my notes are on my laptop. So if you see me looking down, it's me with my notes. I summarized it to the best of my ability. Quick disclaimer: I am not a lawyer. I use a lot of Google research to get to this point, and yeah, let's get to it. Right. So the pre-trial ruling, in very simple terms. Now, this happens before the trial, before witnesses, before the jury, before evidence. At this stage, the judge is only looking at the written complaint from the plaintiff. Think of it this way, guys. The judge is reading one side story and asking, if this is true, does the law even allow this case to go forward? This is very important. What rule is the judge following? I was very fascinated by this. Now, at the pre-trial stage, the judge must assume everything the plaintiff says is true. So basically, Megan has brought those list of 3 accusations that I just read to you. The judge, at this stage, the judge is like, oh, thank you for submitting these allegations. And she will take it as, she will assume that it's true. Actually, not even assume that it's true. You have brought everything in front of her. She's looking at the facts. She's measuring, can this go to trial? And then that's what the pre-trial exercise is for. Now, like I said, everything Megan is alleging at this stage is assumed to be true by the judge, even if it might be later disputed. There is no weighing evidence, no deciding who's telling the truth. The judge is thinking, if I accept this story as written, what does the law say? This is very important. What question is the judge not answering? Was the judge not answering at this stage? The judge is not deciding guilt or innocence. The judge is simply answering the narrow question: if what Megan alleges is true, does the defendant qualify as a media defendant under Florida law? And what did the judge say at the start of this trial? The judge said no. I'm sure many of us remember that dramatic filing where the judge actually categorically said, Milagro, you are not a media defendant. In simple terms, based on what's alleged on what the plaintiff has provided, this defendant does not look like a journalist or a news outlet. That's it. That's the pre-trial motion. There's no trial, no jury, no final decision. And I know a lot of people are wondering, why is this ruling limited? Well, because it's conditional. It's really saying if these facts turn out to be true, then the law will treat the defendant as a non-media person. The judge was not locking anything in forever. Why didn't that end the issue, you ask? Because later at trial, evidence is presented, testimony is heard, and the facts can look different compared to what is alleged on paper. So the pre-trial ruling is temporary by design. It sets the starting line, not the finish. So I want us to kind of keep it as, so let's think of it this way, right? And let me stress this about the pre-trial motion. Before the trial even started, the judge said if the complaint is true, the defendant will not count as a media defendant, but that decision wasn't final. This is very important to say right at the start, because many people came forward to say, well, the media decision was already decided. Why did it need to go to trial? This is why. She made that decision based on the information provided to her. And that's it. That is what this, and that is the way the law is designed. It gives you an opportunity, the defendant, to bring it to open court in front of a jury, and let's determine who actually is a media defendant based on set legal criteria. Why this matters for the jury's confusion later. Now, it's very important because, as I've just said, some people were saying, well, the judge already ruled, so why did the jury have to think of, why did the jury have to determine the case was settled? I've already said it wasn't. The judge ruled on how the case could proceed and not how it ends. Please keep that in mind as we continue. Now, it was very important to explain the pre-trial motion so that we can get right into this particular filing. Now, an intro into what this filing is. It is a motion to appear as, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, amicus curiae. This means that a non-party is asking the court for permission to weigh in on this case. The non-party here is Clearlock LLP, a law firm that specializes in defamation cases. They are not representing either side, because I see a lot of idiots online saying things like, oh, Rock Nation, Rock Nation. Nope. They are not here for anyone. They are here for the case. And they are asking the court to consider the legal analysis because they believe the court's ruling could affect future defamation cases. Are you getting it now? Not just this one. That is the purpose of this filing, and that's why it's very important. At the very beginning, I said this case is quite fundamental. This is why precedents are being set. Now, what exactly is Clearlock supporting? Clearlock is supporting Megan Pete's post-trial motion. Like I said, a separate video, I'll walk that through. Specifically, the motion to reinstate the jury's defamation verdict and the motion to amend the final judgment or grant judgment as a matter of law. This is very important. Why? Because they're not asking for a new trial. And they are not asking, they are simply asking the judge correct the legal error. Now, here you will ask, what legal issue are they asking the court to address or the judge to address? The filing focuses on one legal question. Pay attention, guys. Does Florida's retraction statute apply to this defendant? Very important. Under Florida law, the statute applies only to media defendants acting in a journalistic role. Clearlock argues that the statute was expanded too far in this case. Their position is really quite simple. Influencers are not automatically journalists. Very important for you commentators. Platforms do not equal press. Very important. And the media defendant status depends on function, not popularity. That is the legal issue they are addressing. Very important, guys. Why this matters to the court. The firm explains that if influencers are treated as media defendants, the victims of defamation may be forced to endure even more defamation before suing, which I don't have to break it down to you. You understand how problematic this is. Misinformation may be incentivized instead of corrected, exactly. And the statute's original purpose is undermined. They are warning the court of the unintended consequences. This is why courts allow amicus briefs. So a very quick example, remove Megan and replace it with somebody you actually like. Replace it with yourself. Somebody relentlessly starts bullying you on your account. Let's say you have a few hundred followers and they go out of their way. They are putting content about you. They are lying about you. They are doing exactly what Milagro did, inflicting intentional emotional harm, defaming you, and it might even get as drastic as intentionally spreading a deep fake about you. Put yourself in the shoes of Megan and ask yourself if that is okay, and if you still support the defamation judgment on this case being removed. Now, what evidence or exhibits have they provided? So attached to this particular amicus brief, the motion is the exhibit A is the amicus brief itself. It's quite a lot of legalese, so I've kept it simple. The motion itself is procedural. The exhibit is substantial, and it is actually. The exhibit lays out the following: the history of Florida's retraction statute, how Florida courts have interpreted media defendant, and we'll walk that through when we go through the verdict, and why this defendant does not meet the definition based on the jury's own finding. That's very important, and we'll talk about it in the video where we go through the findings and the contradictions. So when you hear exhibits, and just to clarify, sorry guys, I should have clarified, exhibits are the legal argument the court is being asked to read. Nothing hidden, nothing extra. what this filing is not. So this filing is not new evidence, it is not a retrial or a challenge to the jury's fact finding. So all you bloggers that are throwing a tantrum, calm down. It accepts the jury's factual findings. It challenges how the law was applied to those facts. This distinction is very important again, because if you go online with people who haven't done the legwork, you would think they are trying to reject the jury's findings. That's not what's happening here. The jury does, if you think of it this way, the jury deals with facts, the judge decides the law. Very important, guys. Why was this filed now? This was filed after the trial because that is when legal inconsistencies are addressed. We just spoke about the fact that the jury agreed that Milagro defamed Megan, but also based on the legal question of whether Milagro was a media defendant, when they were taking through some of the questions, you could see that the jury was not sure. And also, I really do not think it was clearly stated to the jury, and we can confirm that when we go to the legal filings from the case. I don't think it was clearly stated to the jury the implication of them deciding Milagro would be a media defendant. So that's what this post-motion trial judgments are for, to fix those inconsistencies. The judge still has authority to amend the judgment, correct the legal classification. Don't forget, the judge decides the law, and clarify how the statute applies. This is why the filing exists at this stage, and also while the judge retained jurisdiction over this case. So let's wrap it up, guys. This filing simply asks, well, not simply, but the filing does ask the court to decide whether influencer commentary should receive the same legal protections as journalism. That decision goes far beyond the case, and that's why Claire Locke LLP, a defamation law firm, had to step in with an amicus brief because, again, precedent. And in closing, in the next video, what I am going to do is connect this filing to the judge's earlier rulings and explain what the court can still change. All filings are linked in the playlist, so you can follow the case step by step. So yeah, if you've enjoyed this, please join me in the next video, and let's see the implications of this and what the judge can actually do to fix the potential legal problem, or rather what comes next if they choose not to fix it. See you on the next, guys. Please continue to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.